Well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what can only be described as a chaos, to be fair. The first of our bonus editions. I mean, if once a fortnight wasn't enough, we're now looks like we're going to be rolling out once a week. You'll notice a few differences. Slightly different logo up in the screen over there. Slightly different intro. Not only that, we've actually got somebody that knows what he's talking about. Welcome, Matt. Welcome to the first and hopefully not the last of the offshoot of the Circus of Safety. Matt, how are you today?
Very good. Look, it's an honour to be part of such a esteemed company.
Oh, mate, I think you've dialed into the wrong broadcast then. Hey, Matt. Well, firstly, let's just shoot around the sky. Des, how are you, mate? Looking a bit Miami Vice there, apparently.
I'm good. I'm out on the road today. Pulled over safely. Thanks, everyone, for the recommendation. But otherwise, doing well.
Awesome. Hey, well, thanks. Listen, I just can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy day to spend it with us. So thank you, Andy. Some technological advances in your world, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. And it's lovely listening to you all in stereo with the new headset.
Yeah, nice. Well done. Hey, listen, Andy. I know lately you've been claiming to be incredibly busy. Hey, how do you think it's going to go? Like I think listening to catching up with each other once a fortnight's been great. Is this a step too far?
Well, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Des, because if it hadn't been for a conversation that me and him had a few hours ago, I wouldn't be here because I didn't realise this was on.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, Matt, listen, again, thank you for bringing some normality to this. What can only be described as utter chaos. Hey, Matt, so listen, obviously, I'm just going to make some assumptions here. Big fan of the show. You often chime in, clearly 8:15 in the morning on a Friday. You got nothing better to do with your time either. When you're not dialing in listening to us, mate, what are you up to? Where about in the world are you, and what do you get up to during the day?
I'm based in Dunedin, so my job during the day is HSEQ Manager for Delta Utility Services. So we're a contracting company that sort of has three arms to it, one of which is metering and field operations, where we go and do upgrades for smart meters and do disconnections for non-payment of power. Another part is green space services. So we look after 2,000 hectares of council-owned lawns, whether that be parks, cemeteries, playgrounds, high-profile sports turfs. And then the last part is a power and comms business where we what's happened there? Anyway, where we maintain
Andy's power got
distribution networks.
Sorry, Matt, you're talking about power disconnection, and suddenly we lost Andy. He lives in Pukekohe, so power's not so secure up there. Well, I mean, and now we've lost Des. What's going on? This is utter chaos. Apologies, Matt. Wow. So that must keep you pretty busy.
Yeah, every day's different. It's good.
Sure, must be. Now, hey, listen. So you dialed in to the last show where the topic that landed on the Firstly, actually, I got to ask, mate, what do you think of the concept of the spinning wheel of death? We don't see. I don't think we give that enough airplay, really. What are your thoughts on the concept?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, real good. It leads to the deception that these aren't organised and you don't prepare.
Well, and based off what you've experienced pre-show, I guess you can validate that nothing we do is organised. I think sending out the calendar invite was the most organised we've ever been. Well, some of us anyway, because clearly others don't check their emails. That's the problem with high-flying consultants, Matt. They'll claim to do a lot of work, but actually do not a lot at all. Now, the topic that popped up, and I mean, I guess in your line of work, in your industry, the topic that popped up probably hits close to home a little bit, I guess, right? So, targets and safety. I mean, when you saw that first pop up on the screen, what are your initial thoughts when you think of targets and safety, Matt? What really kind of jumps out at you?
Look, there's a couple of things. So the first thing, I'm probably surprised that they exist, because safety is just a subset of work. And we continually set work targets and work goals all the time, but sometimes we like to split ourselves into functions which aren't necessarily helpful for a business. So I wrote something down just so I wouldn't forget it. But
nice. Is this that thing you were telling us about?
Yeah. So I think that organizations are complex adaptive systems, but we structure ourselves into functions or disciplines. And that's not how properties or opportunities exist, definitely not in nature. We need to think of multidisciplinary. We need to think of integrated ways. So targets perpetuate functional thinking that will never address complex problems. So work has changed so much. It's not, Taylorism doesn't work anymore. It's not production lines. Maybe so in food manufacturing where you're processing off a chain. But even then, some of that functional thinking, I don't really think is helpful for a business. I think we need to think bigger picture, and we actually need better targets.
So you're suggesting that maybe the way they exist currently is a bit surprising, but we do need something to strive towards, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're tangible beings. We love to count things. Why wouldn't we have targets?
It's competitive, right? And it's that whole. I don't know. Oh, now I'm getting a bit sidetracked. I mean, listen, this is where it's great having somebody that knows what he's talking about, because these other two guys, they don't really contribute much. But do you think that aligns with the sort of the carrot and stick sort of theory? I mean, are targets considered carrots in that approach, do you think?
Oh, well, that's an interesting way to describe it. I suppose I don't know that you would have a target that's a stick.
No, well, the target would be the carrot.
If your target is,
Andy.
if your target's based on growth and improvement, then I think it should always be the carrot.
Yes. I mean, Andy, I think you grow a lot of carrots in Pukekohe, mate. What are your thoughts on targets being the carrot and the carrot and stick approach?
Oh, definitely. It's where you're going. The target's what you're aiming for. You don't aim for the stick, do you? Like, the stick aims for you. You become the target of the stick.
Well, I guess that's it. So, and I guess if you miss the carrot, you get the stick, right? There's any initial thoughts since you've had a bit of time to reflect on the conversation of targets and safety?
Yeah, I like Matt's point. Is it the carrot or the stick, and it seems like it's for motivation and to get results. I guess it depends on probably the key point there. Are you incentivizing for a destination? Are you incentivizing for something that's well defined? Could raise some issues.
No, for sure. Back to Matt, because this show is actually looking for some credibility. Now, Matt, want to throw something out at you, mate. You might want to write this down, because there's going to be a lot of words coming. This is quite. I'm normally I'm a man of few words, but he's got pen and paper. Like this guy, he's actually organised. Hey, so Matt, write down the word vision, if you could, for me.
Done.
Can you write down the word target for me, please?
Yeah.
Could you write down the word goal? And while you're at it, throw in objectives, if you could, please. So you should have now. I'm going to try a magic trick here, guys. You watching? I've been practicing this all week. Okay, so right now, Matt, you should on your bit of paper have the words vision, target, goal, and objectives. 4 things.
Correct.
Cool. Hey, what is your thought on the difference between those 4 things? Any?
Yes. So if you go back to where strategy actually comes from, whereas there's sort of a military birth of the word, then I think all 4 of those words are different parts of what you would say is the war, or the push to be good. So your vision, I think, is your overarching statement. And Desai made a point when you talked about the targets in the show that sometimes it's not actually tangibly measurable. Like for Delta, I love our vision because the front line came up with it. It's great people making communities better together. Well, how do you measure that? But that's very much a why, so you can get staff to buy into that. That's the same thing that fits their belief system. I think underneath your vision sits another word, strategy, which brings target, goal, and objectives into one. So if your strategy, then your goals should probably be 1 year, and you could describe tactics to get there, and your objectives are steps along the way. So I think they're all the same thing. They're just slightly different in terms of their size or their perspective for the business.
No, great, and that was brilliant. I mean, it's tough, right? And I think that's where I'd hate to kind of go back to Andy's point. I mean, Andy, you keep harping on about the fact that we need to define stuff in safety. I mean, what are your thoughts? And when we throw those 4 words together, Andy, the vision, target, goals, objectives, when you say them like that really quickly and you put them in one place, I mean, what are your initial takeaways?
I think one of the things that came to mind there was, can you actually have a vision without a target?
Oh, wow.
Which comes first?
This is not the time or the place. Yeah, it's interesting. And I guess Des, jumping over to you. I mean, what are your thoughts? Sounds like Andy's gone all kind of hippie on us. What are you thinking, mate? Vision, target, goals, objectives, one and the same in the one. Does it make a difference when you say them all fast in the same sentence? You're with Matt?
I'm with Matt.
No?
I think that there is some differences. I like the way that Matt broke it down. I think that idea that, you've got your vision, and then your targets and goals sitting underneath that. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Well, I'm just going to throw out a question then, and I'll lead in with Matt. I don't want to seem like I'm picking on you because this could lead to a whole nother issue on this show. But we I guess we're looking at targets, right, or goals, or whatever you want to call them. I guess we've spoken about the fact that they could be subjective. So then how do subjective indicators or goals affect the measurement of whether you're moving towards them or not? Any sort of thoughts on that? Because if they're subjective, how do you know if you're getting to them, if you're not getting to them? It can get a bit tricky, can't it?
Yeah, look, first things first, I'm not made of porcelain, so you can pick away or fire away. I'll be just fine. Don't worry about picking on me. I'm good as gold. And in terms of subjectivity, I think we probably have to ground ourselves with something Andy comes up in every show. If you've got a common understanding of what the word means between you, then it's much easier to get to your destination. Yeah? It's where you get your misunderstandings between what the word and the intent of the word actually means that you run into trouble.
Wow. Matt, I was liking you a lot.
Every week?
This is not going how I expected. Okay, well, I mean, that's fair. We've got to try and remove that subjectivity. But I guess, I mean, in your opinion, then, Matt, let's say we nail down the definitions, we define this all, we've got some very clear things going on. I mean, what do you think your effectiveness is, the effectiveness is of targets in safety if we choose to go down them and they're well worded, they're well thought through, and we engage with the team and that. I mean, in terms of achieving something in safety, how effective are having targets, do you think?
Look, great question. And I think there are 2 parts to the answer. I think the first part is you have to understand where you are and where you've come from before you can look to where you're going. So that's really important. And the other, and in line with that, is you have to be very careful not to fall into the trap of only that is counted counts. So if you're trying to figure out your way to get to a destination, then make sure that the way that you're measuring that makes sense. So it's all very well, right, and we all do it. We lean on data, we lean on audits, we lean on all sorts of numbers and figures and rates that we've got. but very rarely do we go out and check what those rates actually mean to the people that are doing the work. So we just look at a quantitative assessment rather than a qualitative one. So we don't use both languages, one being numbers, the other one being words. I think that's really important if you're going to figure out where you're going. And in relation to whether or not the targets are going to be effective, well, then you probably go back to what to. And again, it's common understanding of what the target means, or goal that you can measure. So you're smart, attainable, realistic, time bound. Smart goals are important.
Awesome. Des, I mean, you seem a bit lost because you've had to pull over the vehicle, and I hope you know where you're going. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Not all those that wander are lost, Brenton. But my thoughts on what Matt just said.
So
I think metrics and targets and that idea work really well when you're dealing with operational type things. We want to increase production by 20%. You know what production is, it's well defined. You can measure it, you can watch it happen, you can achieve your goal. But when we start talking about things that are subjective, we want to increase safety. Well, what the hell are we measuring for safety? Are we measuring activity? Or we want to increase engagement, to take Andy's example. You know, I've spoken to one person, I've increased engagement, but you've got no way of knowing that by speaking to Bob, you've increased engagement, because you might have disengaged Steve, Tom, and Harry watching it, going, oh, he's speaking to Bob. I'm not interested in anything he has to say anymore. You've got no way of measuring that. And there's a high court case from Australia called Slovak and Lurgy, and Justice Mary Gaudron said that reasonably practicable is about making a value judgment in light of all the facts. And to me, that's subjective. And so when we're talking about targets and safety, which was the topic on the wheel, it's a very problematic area to start setting targets and safety. Visions, strategies, no problem. But as soon as you start talking about, we're going to aim to reach this particular point, this particular destination, it's unbelievably difficult to measure subjectively.
Great, fantastic. My last question, I guess, for the team, and I'd be interested to get thoughts on all of this. So obviously, when we go to set, we'll stick with the theme of the show, right? It was targets and safety, so we'll continue to run down that sort of road. Matt, and interested to get your thoughts. I mean, do you feel that potentially by setting targets, you know, while well-intentioned, could actually lead to unintentional consequences in your mind?
Yeah, especially if your targets are just based on accountability and transparency, then I think they can lead to maybe the wrong direction for your business. Yeah,
so which again, I guess, makes it really important to really kind of nail them down and make sure that we're clear where we're trying to go, right? And what that's going to look like. I mean, Andy, your thoughts, well-intended targets having unintentional consequences?
Oh, absolutely. And it's usually due to the lack of understanding of what you're trying to achieve. And that whole you focus. One of the problems is you sort of, I guess it ties back to what Matt was saying about your different layers of targets and goals within an organizational context. You've got strategic stuff, tactical stuff, operational stuff. That sort of model, that military model works quite nicely. But to have smart targets at an operational level, I think, as Des was alluding to, is quite easy. But it does become harder to write those as you move up towards a strategic sort of element of an organisation. But I still think it can be done. This is one of those where I'm not necessarily 100% in agreement with Des's approach to this. Basically, I think he's wrong.
Wow. Oh, love it. Well, with that said, Des, what are your thoughts, mate? Well-intended, I'm gobsmacked. I can't even speak properly. Well-intentioned targets leading to unintentional consequences. And also, what are your thoughts on Andy's comments about you?
Yeah, we all know what we think of Andy, so I don't need to expand on that. But yeah, definitely unintended negative consequences. I mean, if you, I've seen it happen. Like, there's been targets per month, inspections or audits in certain areas of the business for safety, and invariably what you see, is all the people that are responsible for those audits racing around in the last few days of the month, auditing the nearest point that they can get to meet the KPI and the target and get it done. And then what was the point in that? There's whole chunks of the business being missed as a result, and your targets had this unintended consequence of over auditing in a really slapdash way a few key parts of the business that happen to be near the office, rather than an actual look at what's going on. So that's completely missed the point, having a target like that.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Well, guys, I think that kind of will wrap up our very first bonus show here with our special guest, Matt Sadgrove. Matt, again, mate, what are your thoughts? Thank you for being part of the show, really. Can't thank you enough.
It's very kind. Thank you for asking. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to be part of this.
Fantastic. And
Checks on its way.
Yeah, where's my cup? Yeah.
Mug, you get a mug.
Wow.
Get a mug.
Now we were having I'm going to go here. We were having a conversation pre-show about our one and only other guest. They happen to have our highest rating show on Spotify. Is there going to be any pressure here, Matt, do you think?
Not even in the same ballpark. I said it to someone when they were asking me before, the fact that you've got two safety professionals in one home, and I said, if we were scaling this on a rugby term, Helen would be an All Black and I'd still be playing Ripper Rugby. So she is in a different universe. So it doesn't surprise me that the ratings are good.
No, fantastic. You're very gracious there, Matt. Listen, hey, again, not only massive thank you for coming on. You keep our show entertaining during the live show, which is very helpful for us, because we like you have just experienced. We come in hot, unprepared. So to have some intellectual conversation thrown into the mix through the chat is greatly appreciated. Gentlemen, Andy,
just one thing. Matt, weren't you going to tell us something? Wasn't there something that you'd put on your phone or something? Wasn't there?
He's already done that. Like,
oh, well,
have you
I've
not
got one for you, Andy, if you want.
Yeah, go.
I've got another one. I didn't write this on my phone, but I was just thinking about it as we're wrapping up. So the danger with setting targets is if you're constantly getting better at something, then your resource is committed to getting there in the first place. So you have to, one, understand that part of the business is committed to your current position, and also improving from then on means you need to look at a larger data set to get even better, and you need to weigh up the cost of that and whether it actually where you are is okay or good enough. So that's probably another danger with your targets. If you're not thinking about how you're setting them and you're not grounded in your position.
Well, Matt, my approach to life is set your targets low. That way you always overachieve. So again, thank you for your wise words of wisdom. No doubt, look forward to seeing you on the live show. Gentlemen, I hope this doesn't mean that we're meeting too frequently, but it's been an absolute pleasure. Till the next time, team, we will catch you all later.